Let's bring in David Dietze. He joins us live from Summit, New Jersey. He's founder and chief investment strategist at Point View Wealth Management. David, you're still bullish equities. We've seen 3 straight sessions of losses on Wall Street. And I think, as you've pointed out, prices are now more than 20 times what we see for earnings next year. Why do you still think that the fundamentals support these valuations?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I do think a nice trend seems to continue. You know, we're up in the S&P 500 close to 9% since September 23rd. Now, it looks like the headline news today was that the markets were down and the large cap indexes were down. But, you know, the Russell 2000 was up over 1%. So there's a little bit of rotation here. So why are we fundamentally bullish? I think there's 3 key problems for the market right now. One is this election uncertainty, but we know in a month from now it should be over. And as the lead for Joe Biden continues to widen, the chance of a non-decision continues to go down. Second, of course, we're frustrated because we don't have a stimulus, but by all accounts, post-election, there will eventually be a stimulus. And quite frankly, if there's a Democratic sweep both in the White House and in the Senate, I think you're going to have the largest stimulus ever on record come January. And finally, the real problem here is, of course, the pandemic and COVID. But the fact of the matter is, every day that goes by, we are closer to having a vaccine available. We have the best and the brightest, not just in this country, but worldwide working on it. J&J, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, it's become a race among countries. It's like going to the moon in the 1960s. China, Russia, everyone wants to be first. There's been a little pessimism because in some of the trials have been put on pause. There's been some material adverse effects, but we think generally we're going to be getting there. So, you know, 6 months from now, stimulus, a new administration, and a vaccine could be at hand, and that's why I think investors need to hang in there.
David, it's hard though. I mean, stimulus in January, is the cavalry arriving too late? We hear from the Fed's Kashkari. He's indicating, suggesting that thousands more businesses will fail if we don't see more support for them soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, I think we are nervously watching, particularly what's going on in Europe, where there's been a resurgence in terms of restrictions as a resurgence in cases, and wondering, is that going to be coming here to the States? Will there be renewed lockdowns? We think that's unlikely. We think most people who are very conservative come health matters feel that's too blunt an instrument. Of course, don't forget, you still have the very low interest rates here and a very supportive Federal Reserve. I do think that getting past the election, I talk with investors, people on Wall Street, my clients every day. A lot of people are sitting on the sidelines with lots of cash, realizing in many cases they're getting 0 interest, but they want to get past the election. They just don't want to have a situation we saw in 2016 or in 2000 with the hanging chads and a non-decision for a month. I think if we can successfully get past that, that's going to renew confidence, of course, on Wall Street, but also in Main Street as well.
Okay, let's talk sector specific. I see you like certain energy plays. But they're not without risk as well, not just because the demand recovery is uncertain for energy, but also because there's a renewed interest or perspective on the way so-called dirty energy is being viewed.
There's no question about there's the near-term headwinds with a lack of economic activity due to the COVID. We'll get past that. But, you know, right now we have gasoline at like a 14-year low here. It's not going to stay there. But longer term, yeah, you do have the pivot to green energy. But, you know, it reminds me a lot of the tobacco companies 20 years ago when they got down to, you know, single-digit numbers with 10% dividends. And people said, well, why would you invest in a tobacco company? Because people are stopping smoking. It is true, people are stopping smoking, but it was a very long-term thing. And what we have here is, I always tell people, we're going to be more likely to be heating our homes with natural gas, driving with gasoline, than you're going to be using your iPhone 12. It's the type of thing that's going to be very long to phase out. And so we think that particularly with the risk of inflation, with all the monetary stimulus and the huge budget deficits, that the energy area may be a good place to hang out for at least a decade or longer.
David, that's a fair point. Thanks very much for your time with us this evening your time. David Dietze, founder and chief investment strategist, Point View Wealth.